Hey, good morning all. So before entering to new topic, we can just revise the portions that we had learned in the last class. Okay. So we have learned about carbohydrates, right? Now, which are the different types of carbohydrates depending upon their response to hydrolysis?
Ma'am, can you repeat?
Yeah, which are the different types of carbohydrates? That means its classification depending upon their response to hydrolysis.
Monosaccharides,
Yeah,
oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides.
yeah, monosaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides. What do you mean by monosaccharides, Aditya?
Ma'am, they cannot be further breakdown by hydrolysis.
Yeah, that means simple molecules of monosaccharides that's present there. On further hydrolysis, it cannot able to produce smaller units. That's it, right? Then Rijas, can you give some examples for monosaccharides?
Fructose, glucose.
Yeah, glucose and fructose are considered as the examples for this monosaccharides. Then what about the classification of oligosaccharides, Dia?
Disaccharides, trisaccharides, and tetrasaccharides.
Yeah, depending upon the number of carbon atom or depending upon the number of small units they are provided, we can categorize it into di, tri, tetra, etc. Right? Then what all things you know about the structure of this glucose? Achut? Structure of glucose. What about its molecular formula?
It is an aldohexose.
Okay, aldohexose. What about the molecular formula?
C6. 12.
Yeah, C6H12O6. Then what about the arrangement of carbon atom? We learned several things depending upon the evidences from certain chemical reactions, right? Is it in a straight form or ring one? Achut?
Straight.
Yeah, we learned in the beginning it's in a straight form, right? Then what about the number of OH groups, hydroxyl groups there? All of you switch on your videos. Shivani, Mehak, Aryan, Michael, Steffi, Vidur, Evelyn, Punya, Sharon. Yeah, Chud, tell me.
5.
5, right. Then which is the carbonyl group present in glucose, Punya? Aldehyde or ketone? In glucose.
Ketone.
Glucose, not fructose. In
Aldehyde.
in glucose it's aldehyde and in fructose it's ketone. Okay, this is clear? Yes. Then today we are going to learn about proteins. Okay, the next type of biomolecule, that is proteins. So you can write the heading proteins.
Still many videos are up. Please inform the teacher if there is some problem.
All of you, please switch on your videos. Nia, Michael, Aryan. Yes. Okay. So the next biomolecule, that is proteins. So before entering into the topic, what all things you know about proteins? Vidur, what is this protein? What's the role of protein? And
Converts.
yeah, not clear. Once again, Vidur. Yeah, just tell me what all things you know about protein. What's the role of protein in our body? Unmute. Nothing to share. Sharon, can you tell me?
They are required for growth.
Yeah, require for the proper growth. Then what are the sources of protein? Nandana, what are the sources of protein?
Carbohydrates, fats,
Sources of
protein.
protein means from which all substances you got protein?
Pulses,
Yeah, pulses. Then
lean meat,
yeah. Then milk, egg, etc. Right? We can discuss the remaining portions, topics now. That means proteins, it is the most abundant biomolecule of the living system. It is the most abundant biomolecule of the living system. Then the chief sources of proteins are milk, cheese, pulses, peanuts, fish, meat, etc. These all are considered as the chief sources of proteins. Okay, so proteins are the most abundant biomolecules of the living system. We have learned about biomolecules, right? They are the non-living particles that needed for a proper function of living systems, right? This protein is considered as one such biomolecule. Okay, and chief sources of this biomolecule protein, they are milk, cheese, pulses, peanuts, fish, meat, etc. This protein is considered as the fundamental basis of structure and functions of life. Okay, protein is needed for the proper growth of living systems, and it is the fundamental basis of the structure. And it is derived from a Greek word, proteos. Okay, it's derived from a Greek word, proteos. And all proteins are the polymers of alpha amino acids. Alpha amino acids. What do you mean by polymer, children? Polymer. Aditya, what do you mean by polymer?
Many consist of many monomers.
Yeah, very good. Monomer units repeat in a certain pattern to form a large single unit. It is known as polymer, right? So here this alpha amino acids, they join together to form a large single unit. It is called protein. Clear? Here the monomer unit is alpha amino acids. Amino acids join together to form a large single unit. It is called protein. Clear? So all proteins are polymers of alpha amino acids. This is clear? Yes. Okay. So these are the just introduction for this proteins. Proteins are most abundant biomolecules of the living system. Then chief sources of protein are milk, cheese, pulses, peanuts, fish, meat, etc. Then it is the fundamental basis of structure and functions of life. It is derived from a Greek word that is proteos, which means primary or prime importance. Okay, that's the meaning. Primary or prime importance. That means it is essential for the healthy growth of all living systems. That's why it is considered as primary. Okay. The meaning of this word proteos, it is primary or prime importance. So all proteins, they are the polymers of alpha amino acids. We can learn what is this alpha. Okay. This is points clear. Have you completed?
No.
Okay. And you can complete it. Vidur, can you please read the points? Yes.
Proteins are most abundant biomolecules of the living system.
Okay.
Chief sources of milk, cheese, pulses, peanuts, fish, meat, Fundamental basis of structure and functions of the life derived from Greek word
Yeah.
proteose.
Mm.
All proteins are polymers of alpha amino acids.
Yes, alpha amino acids. Then we can learn about amino acids. Okay, amino acids. Shall I move to next slide? Okay. Amino acids. Okay, in the word itself, it shows which are the components there, right? Amino acids. So there is one acid group there and one amino group there. So this amino acids contain amino and carboxyl functional groups. Carboxyl functional group means acid. Okay. So in amino acids, there are two functional groups. One is amino group and the second one is carboxyl functional group. That is acid. This is the structure of this amino acid. Okay. The COOH group. COOH group. This one is known as carboxyl group and it is acid. Okay. Acidic group. And this NH2. NH2, it is known as amino group. Clear? COOH group, it is known as acid, and NH2 group, it is considered as amino group. Clear? So this is the structure of amino acids. There is one amino group there and one carboxyl group that is attached to carbon chain. This R, it stands for any side chain. Okay, CH3, CH2, then CH3, CH2, CH2, like that. CH3, CH2, then CH2, CH2, CH3. These all are considered as side chains. Okay, we simply represent it as R. Instead of this, we will write R. It stands for different side chains. Okay. So this is the structure of amino acids. There is one amino group and one carboxyl group. Amino group is represented as NH2 and carboxyl group is represented as ZOOH. Clear? Then depending upon the relative position of amino group with respect to carboxyl group, amino acids can be classified as alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Okay, depending upon the relative position of amino group with respect to carboxyl group. We just count the position from carboxyl group. If it is in the first carbon itself, this one is considered as alpha amino acid. Okay. Then it is in the second position, it is considered as beta amino acid. Then in the third position, it is considered as gamma. Alpha, beta, gamma. Next one is delta. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta. It is depending upon the relative position of amino group. That means the position of NH2 group with respect to carboxyl group. If it is near to carboxyl group, that means it is attached to the same carbon, that is carboxyl group is attached, it is considered as alpha. And if there are two carbon in between these carboxyl and amino group, it is considered as beta. Okay. Then 3 carbon atoms are there in between this carboxyl group and amino group, it is gamma. Then if there are 4 carbon atoms there, it is delta. This is clear, children? Depending upon the relative position of amino group with respect to carboxyl group. So this one is considered as first one, then second one. Okay, this amino group is attached to second carbon, it is alpha. Then if one more carbon is here, it is beta. Then 3 carbon atoms are there, it is gamma. Then 4 carbon atoms are there, it is delta. Is this clear? So it will be named as alpha amino acid, then beta amino acid, then gamma amino acid, then delta amino acid. Clear? Then you have to remember one point here. Only alpha amino acids are obtained on hydrolysis of proteins. What do you mean by hydrolysis? Hydrolysis means addition of water, right? Hydrolysis means addition of water. So on adding water, this protein molecules will be decomposed or split. Okay. On this hydrolysis, only alpha amino acids are obtained. Only alpha amino acids are obtained. This is clear, children? So amino acids, they contain 2 functional groups, amino group, that is NH2 group, and carboxyl functional group, that is COOH. Carboxyl group is otherwise known as carboxylic acid. Okay, carboxyl group or carboxylic acid, both are same. So two functional groups are the amino group and carboxyl group. Then depending upon the relative position of amino group with respect to carboxyl group, we can categorize into or classified into alpha amino acid, beta amino acid, then gamma amino acid, delta amino acid. And only alpha amino acids are obtained on hydrolysis of proteins. This is clear? Okay. Evelyn, which are the functional groups present in alpha amino acid?
Amino group and carboxyl group.
Very good. Amino group and carboxyl group. How can we represent amino group? Gayatri, amino group. Which is the chemical formula of amino group? Yes. Look at the structure and tell me which one is amino group. Which one?
NH2.
Yeah, NH2 is amino group. Then what about carboxyl group or carboxylic acid?
COH.
Yes, COOH. So there are two functional groups in this amino acid, NH2 group and carboxylic acid group. Have you completed? All of you? Yes, right? Okay, then which are the different types of amino acids depending upon their position? Sania?
Alpha, beta, gamma, and delta.
Yes, alpha amino acid, then beta amino acid, then gamma amino acid, delta amino acid. Depending upon the position of amino group with respect to carboxyl group, we can classify it into different types. This is clear? Then which type of amino acid is obtained on hydrolysis of proteins? Anna?
Alpha. Alpha.
Yes, yes, very good. Alpha amino acid. Okay, then the classification of amino acids. Okay, another type of classification. Amino acids are classified as acidic, basic, or neutral. Okay, acidic, basic, or neutral, depending upon the relative number of amino and carboxyl groups in their molecule. I told you there are two functional groups, the amino group, then carboxylic acid group. This amino group is basic in nature. Amino group is basic in nature. So this carboxylic acid, in the name itself, it's acid. So it is acidic in nature, right? So there are two functional groups there, amino group and carboxylic acid group. So this amino group, it is basic in nature, and carboxylic acid group, it is acidic in nature. So depending upon the relative number of amino and carboxyl groups in their molecule, amino acids are classified as acidic, basic, or neutral. Okay, that means same number of amino group and carboxyl group there, it is considered as neutral. Okay, same number of carboxyl group and amino group. If there is more carboxyl group compared to amino group, it is considered as acidic. Okay, if it is more carboxyl group compared to amino group, it is considered as acidic. If there is more amino group compared to carboxylic group, it is considered as basic. So we can categorize this amino acids into different types, acidic. Yeah, Achut?
Can you explain that again?
Yeah, sure. We will categorize this amino acids into acidic, basic, and neutral. Okay, depending upon the number of amino group and carboxyl group. All of you, please switch on your videos. Anna, Rija, Snowrin, Meenakshi, Sania, all of you. Yes. So there are three types of amino acids, neutral, acidic, and basic. It is depending upon the number of amino group and carboxyl group present there. This amino group, it is basic in nature. Okay. Then carboxylic group, it is acidic in nature. So if there are equal number of amino group and carboxyl group there, it belongs to neutral. Neutral amino acid. Okay, equal number of carboxyl group and amino group there, it is neutral. Then if there are more amino acids compared to carboxylic acids, sorry, amino groups compared to carboxylic acid, it will be considered as basic. Because more amino group there, that means more basic nature, right? So it is basic. And if more carboxylic group than amino group, it is considered as acidic. Okay, so there are three types of classification: neutral, acidic, basic, depending upon the number of carboxyl groups and amino groups there. This is clear? Yes. So this is the another type of classification. They are classified as acidic, basic, or neutral. Then one more classification there: non-essential amino acids and essential amino acids. Non-essential amino acids and essential amino acids. So from the name itself, can you able to define essential and non-essential amino acids? Anyone? Adul, can you define what is this essential amino acid?
It is important to life.
Yeah, is it produced in our body or not? Essential one.
Not produced in the body.
Yeah, we can look at the definition of both. Okay. Amino acids which can be synthesized in the body are known as non-essential amino acids. There is little bit confusion here, so that's why I'm asking you. Okay. Amino acids which can be synthesized in the body are known as non-essential amino acids because it's already there, right? It's not needed. It's already there in the body. Amino acids which can be synthesized in the body are considered as non-essential amino acids. Okay. And those which cannot be synthesized in the body and must be obtained through diets are known as essential amino acids. They are essential for the growth. In the case of non-essential amino acids, they can be synthesized in the body. Okay. This non-essential amino acid, and those which cannot be synthesized in the body and must be obtained through diet are known as essential amino acids. So this is another type of classification. So you can write certain examples for this essential amino acids: lysine, arginine, then histidine. These all are examples of essential amino acids. Then valine, leucine, etc. And in the case of non-essential amino acids that already synthesized in our body, glycine, then alanine, proline, etc. Okay. So we learned three types of classification. First one, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, depending upon the position of amino group with respect to carboxyl group. Then the second type of classification, acidic, basic, and neutral, depending upon the relative number of amino groups and carboxyl groups there. Then the third type of classification, that is non-essential and essential. Non-essential, which can be synthesized in our body, and the essential amino acids, which cannot be synthesized and obtained through diet. These are the examples of non-essential and essential amino acids. Michael, can you please read the examples for essential amino acids? Essential.
Valine and leucine.
Your voice is breaking. Can you repeat it once again?
Lysine.
Yeah.
Arginine.
Yeah.
Histidine. Valine and leucine.
Leucine. Valine, leucine. Okay. Yeah. Then Meenakshi, can you please read the examples of non-essential amino acids? Yeah. Yes, glycine, alanine, and proline. Switch on your videos, children. Have you completed? All of you. Yes. So which are the different types of classification? Srihari?
Essential and non-essential.
Yeah, essential and non-essential is one type of classification. So what do you mean by essential amino acids, Srihari?
Which cannot be produced in the body and has to be taken through diet.
Yes, okay. It is known as essential amino acid. Then Malavika,
Yes, ma'am.
what is non-essential amino acid?
Amino acids which can be synthesized in the body.
Yeah, in the body are known as non-essential amino acids. Lydia, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
What about another type of classification other than essential and non-essential?
Acidic, basic, and neutral.
Yeah, acidic, basic, and neutral. Okay, Steffi? Steffi, can you hear me? Steffi? Anthony? Yeah, okay, tell me. What is the criteria for this classification? Acidic, basic, and neutral.
Acidic will have
Yeah,
about the carbon chains, ma'am.
yeah, that means
Acidic will,
yeah, tell me.
acidic will have more carbon chains.
Carboxyl groups.
Carboxylic chains, sorry.
Yeah, then what about basic?
Basic will have equal number of
That
carboxyl.
is neutral. That is neutral.
Neutral will have equal number of chains,
Yeah.
and base will have less carboxylic chains.
That means more amino group, right?
Yes.
Yes. These are the different types of classification. Okay. Then we are moving to next topic. Yeah, that's about amino acids, their physical properties. Okay. Their physical properties. They are colorless, crystalline solids. They are water soluble and high melting solids. Okay. They are colorless. Then crystalline solids. We learned about two types of solids, right? Crystalline and amorphous. This amino acids will belong to the category of crystalline solids. And it is water soluble. Okay, water soluble. Then high melting solids. They have high melting point. So these are certain physical properties of this amino acids. And this amino acids, they contain both amino group and carboxylic group. That means both acidic group and basic group. They behave like salts rather than simple amines or carboxylic acid. Okay. They contain both functional groups, amino group and acidic group, right? That means carboxylic acid group. Both are, one is acidic in nature, other one is basic in nature. But here, this amino acids, they behave like salts rather than simple amines or carboxylic acid due to the presence of both acidic and basic groups in the same molecule. We have learned about neutralization reaction, right? Acid and base react together to form neutral products. Which are those neutral products, Aditya? In neutralization, which are the products? Acid and base reacts together. Please guess, neutral products are obtained. So, that's right. Acid and base reacts together to form.
And water.
Yeah, water is one of the product. Then one more. Yeah, Chud.
Salt plus water.
Yeah, that's it. Acid and base reacts together to form salt and water. They are neutral in nature. because the acidic effect will be cancelled by base and this basic effect will be cancelled by acid. So the salt and water is obtained as product. So here also two groups are there. Acidic group is there, then basic group is there. So here it will be behave like salt due to the presence of both acidic and groups. Here also acidic group will cancel the effect of basic group and basic group will be cancel the effect of acidic group. Okay. So they behave like salt rather than simple amines or carboxylic acid due to the presence of both acidic and basic groups in the same molecule. This is clear? This is clear, children? Yes, right? Okay. Then one more important point here. In aqueous solution, okay, in aqueous solution, what do you mean by aqueous solution? Aqueous. Which is a solvent there in aqueous solution?
Water.
Which one?
Water.
Water, right? Yes. So in aqueous solution, the carboxyl group can lose a proton. Okay. Carboxyl group can lose a proton and amino group can accept a proton. And it giving rise to a dipolar ion. Dipolar means both positive and negative charge there. That's why it is known as dipolar ion. This is also known as switcher ion. Okay. This is also known as switcher ion. I will write the reaction here. This RCH, then NRCH, NH2, COOH. This is the structure of one amino acid, right? And here, carboxyl group can lose a proton. Lose a proton means it will lose one hydrogen. Okay. Carboxyl group will lose one hydrogen and this amino group will accept that proton. That means it will accept one hydrogen and it will exist as one dipolar ion. Okay, dipolar ion. So while you write the chemical formula of dipolar ion or switcher ion, you should remember here it loses one proton. Then it will become ZOO minus. Here it is OH. It will lose one proton means it will lose one hydrogen. And this proton will be accepted by this amino group. That means that hydrogen will be accepted by this amino group. And it becomes NH3 plus. NH3 plus. This form is known as switcher ion or dipolar ion. This is clear? It is known as switcher ion or dipolar ion. Okay. This is the chemical formula or structure of amino group RCHNH2COOH. Okay. RCHNH2COOH. So from this carboxylic group, that is COOH group, it loses one proton. That means it loses one hydrogen. And this proton will be accepted by amino group. This proton will be accepted by amino group. That means this hydrogen is accepted by this amino group and it will become NH3 plus. So this form, it is known as switcher ion or dipolar ion. Switcher ion or dipolar ion. This is neutral but contains both positive and negative charges. Okay, it's a neutral one, but it contains both positive and negative charges. Here you can see ZOO minus and NH3 plus. So this is a neutral ion, but it contains both positive and negative charges. That's it. This is clear? Yes, okay. Okay, one more thing. Yeah, it shows amphoteric behavior. What do you mean by amphoteric behavior? Amphoteric. What is amphibians? Amphibians. Yeah, tell me, amphibians. Nandana, what is amphibians?
They're both on land and water.
Yeah, they're living on both land and water, right? So they have two options there. Here also, this word amphoteric, it is related to ampho. That means both. It contains both acidic and basic properties. That's why it is known as amphoteric behavior. Okay. It shows react with both acids and bases. You can write there. It react with both acids and bases. React with acids and bases. This is clear? Shall I move to next point? Yes. Then except glycine. Glycine is an example for amino acid. Okay. Except glycine, all other naturally occurring alpha amino acids, they are optically active. Okay. Except glycine, all other naturally occurring alpha amino acids are optically active. Since the alpha carbon atom is asymmetric, we have learned about optical activity, right? When a ordinary light, it is passed through Nicol prism, the plane of its polarized light, it will be rotated to either two directions when it passes through certain solutions, either right or to left. That process is known as optical activity. There is one condition for this optical activity, that is carbon atom should be asymmetric. Asymmetric means different groups are there in the carbon atom. Okay. So except glycine, all other naturally occurring alpha amino acids, they are optically active. They can able to rotate either to left or to right when they pass through certain solutions. So since the alpha carbon atom is asymmetric, the reason is the carbon atom, it is attached to different groups. That's why it is asymmetric. Okay. So except glycine, all other naturally occurring alpha amino acids are optically active. And they can exist in both D and L forms. They can exist in both D and L forms. This D and L, that is related to which one? It's configuration, right? It's configuration related to any other function, any other compound. So here this alpha amino acids or this amino acids, they can exist in both D and L forms. Do you remember the configuration of glucose? It's in D form, right? But here amino acids, they can exist in both D and L forms. Most naturally occurring amino acids have L configuration. The most naturally occurring amino acids have L configuration. That means L amino acids are written by NH2 group on left hand side. There are two options there, right? You can write NH2 group either on the right side or left side. So if NH2 group is written on the left hand side, it is considered as L amino acids. There are two functional groups there, right? Carboxylic acid and amino group. We can write this amino group and carboxylic acid in right side or left side. But the NH2 group, it's on the left hand side. It will be considered as L amino acid. Okay. L amino acid. Like this. CH, R, COH. Okay. Now NH2 group on left hand side. This is considered as L amino acids. If this NH2 on the right hand side, it is considered as D. They have D configuration. Okay. Sorry, children. Have we completed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Then in your textbook, page number 420, 421, there is one table. That's examples for natural amino acids. Okay, natural amino acids. Glycine, alanine, valine, leucine, isoleucine. There are 20 amino acids there. Okay, then
Ma'am.
there, yeah, Achut,
Can you tell the page again?
yeah, 420, 421. Page number 420, 421. So depending upon the R group present there, they can be categorized into different names. Okay. Then these names are known as trivial names. Okay. Trivial names. And we will use the first three alphabets. First three alphabets as its symbol. Example, for glycine, we will write its symbol GLY. Okay. Then for alanine, we will write ALA. Okay. So all alpha amino acids, they have certain trivial names depending upon their properties. Okay. Then example, glycine. You look at glycine. It is so sweet in taste. That's why this name glycine came. Okay. So sweet in taste. That's why the name glycine came. So depending upon their property, these trivial names came. And we can use the first three letter symbols to represent these amino acids. Is it clear? Okay, these names are sometimes related to its properties or from its source, etc. And these letters, amino acids, they are represented by three letter symbols. Also, we can use one letter that is in the last column. One letter code also there. For glycine, we will write simply G. Clear? Two options are there. We can write the three letter code, that is GLY for glycine. Also write the first letter G. Okay, so these are the examples of certain naturally occurring amino acids. In this one, that is marked as star is considered as essential amino acids. Okay, that marked as certain star in that table, it is considered as essential amino acids. That means the amino acid that should be consumed by through our diet. Clear? Yes. And we can discuss the remaining things in the next class. Okay, let me take your attendance. Just wait. Okay, then thank you, children. See you in the next class. Bye.
Thank you.